April showers bring May flowers, but hopefully we'll get a lot of sunshine too. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Zenescope podcast, Everything Zen, where we discuss everything in the Zenescope universe, from Zodiac to Spirit Hunters, Mystere and Hellchild to Grimm Universe Presents, and so much more. This is Zenescope. I'm your host, Mark Sells, and we're happy to have you back with us for our wonderful Wonderland-inspired April podcast. The Easter Bunny has delivered some goodies, the warmer weather is here, and it's nothing short of fantastic. Equally fantastic, we've got so many new products and special events coming up on the Zenescope calendar to tell you about, I simply can't wait. Chris Samson will be joining us in a little bit to dole out some prizes and share his pick for Book of the Month. He'll be sitting down with Amber Curtis to speak with one of our quintessential creators of the Wonderland Series. Amber will also be popping in to share some fun facts around Godzilla vs. Kong a little later. And our co-founder, Ralph Tedesco, and I will be chatting with one of the stars from the Hulu action sci-fi original film, Boss Level. That's all coming up on this month's edition of Everything Zen. Who in the world am I? That's the great puzzle. The quote and the puzzle is a reference to Lewis Carroll's classic tale, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, published in 1865. It's the tale of a young girl, Alice, who falls through a rabbit hole and enters a fantasy world filled with strange creatures and characters, from the Mad Hatter to the Cheshire Cat to the Queen of Hearts. But what you might not know is that Alice in Wonderland has very creepy origins. You see, Lewis Carroll was particularly fond of young girls. In fact, he chose the company of girls over adults, and befriended a 10-year-old named Alice Liddell, whom he photographed extensively and used as the inspiration for his fantastical tale. And considering all of the psychedelic images, from drinking potions to eating mushrooms, and how the world changes around her, the implications of drug use have been noted but not historically proven. Despite all of the controversy, Wonderland has inspired countless movies, most significantly the 1951 animated Disney film, as well as the Tim Burton Johnny Depp adaptation in 2010. With its eccentric characters and unpredictable plot, audiences continue to fall in love with the dreamlike story and connect with all of the whimsical words and idiosyncrasies from Carroll's characters. That's why, in May 2007, Zenescope set foot in the world of Wonderland by launching a spin-off and limited series from Grimm Fairy Tales called Return to Wonderland. Written by Raven Gregory, the series tells the tale of Alice and her teenage daughter, Cali. As an adult, Alice is suicidal and mentally disturbed. Cali, not wanting to deal with her mother's mental illness, turns into a promiscuous, substance-abusing alcoholic. Zenescope's Return to Wonderland series covers Alice's childhood and Cali's adventures into the realm of malice and madness, a much darker and more frightening Wonderland than her mother experienced. Because of its success, Return to Wonderland spawned numerous series: Tales from Wonderland, Call of Wonderland, The Madness of Wonderland, and Revenge of Wonderland, just to name a few. All are available in graphic novel and comic book form on Zenescope.com right now. As a special treat, Raven Gregory will be stopping by to discuss the lasting impact of Wonderland, and later we'll be sitting down with the masterful Selina Lo from the Hulu original film, Boss Level. So stick around as we venture down the rabbit hole for another exciting episode of Everything Zen.
Oh dear, I'm late. No time for hellos and goodbyes, the queen will be quite irate. But I do have time to announce one thing though, our podcast Word of the Month contest for the month of April. Whenever you hear this sound during the podcast, we'll reveal a secret word or phrase. Email us at info@zenescope.com with that word or phrase, and we'll send you a promo code to use on your next purchase on Zenescope.com. As a reminder, there's only one submission per person. We will also do a raffle drawing for one lucky winner from all the podcast Word of the Month submissions. Our grand prize is a limited to 100 collectible Wonderland number 25, cover G, a red carpet exclusive by Mike DeBalfo and Ula Moss. We are also giving away 3 second place prizes from those submissions as well. The second place prizes will be a limited to 250 collectible Revenge of Wonderland number 6 cover F by Sabine Rich. So listen carefully and email us at info@zenescope.com for your chance to win. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, Chris. The podcast contest runs throughout all of April, so you can send an email to info@zenescope.com any day or time up until midnight on Friday, April 30th. The winners will all be announced on Facebook the first week in May. Now, to get things started for our Wonderland-focused podcast, I'm going to reel Chris back in, along with Amber Curtis. Both had the opportunity to sit down with the one and only Raven Gregory to talk about the creation of Zenescope's Wonderland, how things got so twisted for Alice, and as a horror writer, some of the things that still give Raven nightmares to this day. So pull up a chair. This is seriously one mad tea party you don't want to miss.
The beautiful Raven Gregory has been in the industry as a writer and editor for over 20 years. He has worked on popular Zenescope series such as Grim Fairy Tales, The Fly, and the Wonderland series. I also heard that he wants to be called sexy as something else that I won't repeat on this podcast, as I read on his Facebook page. Welcome, Raven.
Wow, that was the best intro ever.
Raven, it is such an honor to have you back. Talking about one of your claims to fame, the Wonderland series. So let's dive in. So Wonderland is one of the most beloved and best-selling series at Zenescope, and the trilogy really put Zenescope Entertainment on the map. When did you know this series was going to be a winner?
I guess man, it's so weird. You know what? I don't think I ever realized it was really a winner until we finished the trilogy. I more so was just having so much fun writing it. Me, Daniel Leister, who was the artist penciler on the series, and Ney Rufino, Ney Rufino. Oh my gosh, I sounded like somebody who says her name wrong. That's funny. Yeah, Ney Rufino. Everybody remember that. That's how you say it. Say it the wrong way. I had such a blast just working on the story with them. And, it was like being a little kid in a candy store. I mean, keep in mind, this is close to 20 years ago. I was a young man back then, and we used to sit on the phone and talk for hours about what we were going to do and what we were going to put in the book. And man, it was just so much fun that, I think at the point I was at PhillyCon for one of the first shows. Oh, I got it. I know. Okay. I know when it was a success. I did not my first Wizard World Philadelphia, but I did my first one with Zenescope, and we did a signing for Return to Wonderland #1. And the line was about an hour long of just nonstop signing. And because
That's crazy.
Because it was my first show with Zenescope, I also had an artist alley table in the back. So after the signing was done, I stayed at the Zenescope booth for like another hour, and then I meandered over to my artist alley table, and I sat down, and it was crickets. And I was just like, oh my gosh, no one loves me. I want to go back. I want to go back to the Zenescope.
I want to be where the people are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was like, it was like being thrown into cold water. I was like, where did they all go? They all loved me a minute ago. But that was like my first real indication that it was kind of blowing out the water.
Rad. I think, especially as a young writer, I think the feeling of getting your first, or maybe not your first, but your big break. I'm sure that's like riding a wave of euphoria like nothing else.
Yeah, that was definitely. Even today, it's still a cool experience. Wonderland has always been a really cool, cathartic type thing where I get to work out the fundamental dysfunctional stuff that happens in families and turn it into a story. So it's always something cool to I get to play with that sort of, you know, therapeutic output couch. You know, I'm like, it's like a psychiatrist couch.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Have you, Raven, recently done a reread of the original trilogy?
Oh no, hell no.
Well, I did.
Did you?
I think it holds up really, really, really well. And I wondered if like people still come to you like very often and say like, wow, I just read this for the first time. It's incredible.
Yeah, no one does that at all. Like, it's done. No, I'm just joking. No. Well, no, I mean, truth of the matter is no one comes up to me anymore and mentions it at all because there's no shows. Yeah, we're not we're not in quarantine anymore, but they've shut down all the shows. And even before the shows, I rarely go to conventions now. I'll maybe do 2 conventions a year, if even that, just because I like staying home with my kids. I like the comfort of my home. I don't do really well with crowds after. I mean, I think it was about 5-6 years ago. I went to San Diego Comic-Con, and it was like being in a sardine can. And it was the first time I ever had a panic attack. And like after that, I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna start cutting back down on shows. So yeah, I actually really don't get a lot of people come up to me and say that. I mean, people email me online and say they really love it. And my favorite compliment that I've ever gotten as a writer to this day is when somebody will say, your comic book is what got me into reading comics. I get that one a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, with that legacy in mind, when you, Ralph, and Joe were setting up the storyline, how did the character Cali develop? How did you want her to be different from Alice? And what was it like having basically free reign over this awesome character and, you know, building her out?
Well, I mean, a lot of the first Return to Wonderland story had a definite foundation set in the original source material, done with more of a, like, you know, twisted horror type Twilight Zone vibe. But when it came to Return, the basic premise we had pitched was, so Alice went to Wonderland. What if Alice went mad while she was in a Wonderland and came back and had a family, and how that would impact the family, how that would lead to the dysfunctional life, and how that in turn would be the turning point that leads Cali into following her mother's footsteps and seeing why her mother went insane, and what that kind of lifestyle and social existence turns a person into. Because Kaylee's at the beginning of the story, Kaylee's very annoyed at having always to take care of her mother, because her mother's basically almost an invalid. She's comatose most of the time. So when she gets to experience what her mother experienced, and then dealing with the whole tragedy of what happens at the end of Return, it really just brings the character to this whole place where she just kind of took over the story. There was a very bare bone outline, and we just kind of, you know, Zenescope was very young back then, and they had a lot of faith in me, and I pitched them a story, and they gave me their notes, and we kind of mixed everything together and just went, you know, like not like today. Today I plan things much more methodically, whereas back in my early days when I wrote, I was under the mindset of, when I write a story, I don't want to know what's going to happen next. I want the characters to dictate what happens next. And I want to be surprised by what happens with these characters. Because if I'm surprised, if I don't see it coming, then the reader's not going to see it coming. But if I plan everything out, if I know what's going to happen at the end of the series, if I know what's going to happen in the middle, then it kind of, at that point in time in my career, I felt like it was cheating, like it was diluting the essence of the story. Nowadays, I do that. I plan everything because I like to be able to, you know, bring things back. And, you know, I've been writing for quite a long time, and I like having the roadmap. But back then, yeah, it was a lot of seat by the pants, pants at the seat.
Well, I guess that's a testament to how you've grown and evolved over time. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way, because like you're a writer, you want to entertain yourself too, and it obviously entertained legions of fans, because you know Wonderland's still like the cream of the crop here at Zenescope.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Chris, by the way, fun fact for those listening to this, because you guys can't see us right now, but Chris's hair looks amazing. As soon as this Zoom meeting is over, I'm finding out what kind of product he uses in his hair. And the next time you see me in a Zenescope panels on streaming, I'm going to have Chris hair. I'm going to have amazing, silky, beautiful. It's going to be like, I'm going to get a fan so it blows in the wind during the whole interview. So
we're going to get some slow motion camera going. Yeah, it's going to be like a Pantene Pro V commercial, like whoosh.
Yeah, and you'll hear like a little Enya music playing in the background. And you'll be like, "What's that music, Raven?" I'm like, "I don't hear anything. Wonderland, crazy."
Amber.
I can't with either.
No,
of you guys.
I threw you guys off. Hey, Amber, you want to hear something else crazy?
Tell me.
Amber, guess what? Did you know that me and Lewis Carroll, the writer of the original Wonderland story, have the same birthday?
Well, no way. What? That's insane.
You know, it took me 43 years to find that out.
Wow.
I was going through a drawer of like old documents, and I came across back, I don't know if they do it nowadays, but they had a printed out sheet of everything that's like historically of significance that's happened on the day of January 27th. And as I'm looking through it, all of a sudden I see Lewis Carroll's birthday is January 27th. And I was like, get the shit out of here. What the hell is this?
It was meant to be.
It's fate.
Yeah.
That's
fate.
Wow.
So you kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier, but the impact of Alice's first trip to Wonderland seemed like it took a serious toll on her. What would you say was her emotional battle? Was it PTSD? Was it like she missing a high, or was it something else?
Well, in hindsight, having lived 43 years on this earth, I would definitely say the PTSD. Like having one of the quick question: what am I allowed to say on this podcast? Can I say anything?
Yes.
Yes. We want Raven unfiltered.
All right, Raven unfiltered. So, I don't think I've ever told this story before. This is a Zenescope exclusive. So, when I first started working for Zenescope, I was writing a couple Grimm fairy tales here and there. I wrote 7, and then I pitched Return to Wonderland, and I got Wonderland. So, before I wrote Wonderland, I said to myself, you know what? I've never done mushrooms before. If I'm going to write Wonderland, I have to do mushrooms and look at the Disney movie. So I did mushrooms for the first time ever, and it was fun. But as I'm watching the movie keeps getting scarier and scarier. I'm like, holy shit, man. Dude, let her out of Wonderland. I don't like this anymore. This is and I tried so hard to distill that essence into the story of, oh my God, if this happened to you in real life, it would be freaking terrifying. Giant centipedes and ravens flying through the air and Mad Hatter.
You really lived it.
It's full method. That's why, like, the animated movie is really trippy to begin with. So I can't imagine like that elevated level of consciousness you had, and you tried to distill it
right
afterwards.
At the end where she's flipping out and she's like, dude, I just want to get out of here. I'm so tired of being in here after all this shit. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel your pain right now, Alice. And I actually, for people who don't know this, there's one scene in Return to Wonderland that I wrote while on mushrooms. The scene where Cali, at the very beginning of issue 1, is doing mushrooms with Brandon. And the funny thing about that scene is that scene must have taken 3 hours to write, and at the end of it, I had only written like 5 words. I was in Wonderland. It was like, whoa! But somehow I found a way to take that experience, the whole entire, Oh, by the way, if there's any kids listening to this, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, except for marijuana, which is now legal in the state of Arizona. Coming to a state near you. I don't smoke weed either. It makes me paranoid. But yeah. So you guys are hearing some stuff you never see. I told them they were going to get a good freaking podcast.
You did not disappoint, Raven.
Yeah. You want to hear another fun story?
Sure.
Amber.
Yes.
Do you want to hear a fun story?
Always.
Okay, here's another fun story. So Ralph has a story that he loves to tell, because back when I wrote Wonderland, I used to smoke weed. So I was kind of like a stoner dude. So whenever I talk to him, I'd be like, dude, you know what would be so cool? We should do this, man. Like totally Brad Pitt from True Romance type stoner. So I called him up one day and we're talking. He reads the first script and he talks to me and he's like, hey man, I really like how you did the anagram thing with Cali. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, Cali, it's if you mix up the letters, it spells Alice. And I was like, dude.
What?
I'm like, holy shit,
Mind
I'm
blown.
a freaking genius. But here's the unknown part to the story that Ralph has never known. The reason her name was Cali was not because some subconscious level I was trying to name her an anagram of Alice. It's because everybody in that first series of Return to Wonderland, Zenescope exclusive, you guys have never heard this before, everybody in the book is actually named after the people who created Wonderland. Cali is name is Carol Liddell. Liddell is the last name of the artist who drew the first Wonderland. His name was John.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I think it was John, but no. I'm wrong about that. Liddell is actually, Charles Dodson. Anyway, yeah, something like that. I know it's something like that. It's Liddell. Yeah.
I believe in the Wonderland Omnibus, there's like a specific section where it has like all these writer's notes printed in it.
There it is.
It might be in that section. So check out the Wonderland Omnibus for anyone who's listening.
Yeah, Kaylee Liddell is actually Carol, and Liddell is the name of the girl. Oh, is the name of the girl who the story was actually based on. John Tennille. That's why Johnny's name is Johnny. Johnny's based off the artist, et cetera, et cetera. But everybody's name is essentially somebody who created the original thing mixed around and shit.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm glad that you mentioned Johnny. That kind of leads into our next question.
Isn't he the best character ever? I love him.
Yeah, like Johnny's so larger than life, and obviously like the Cheshire Cat as well. Could you take us through the process of creations with Johnny and how he developed over the series?
Oh, Johnny's my favorite thing ever. I mean, the beginning, he was just kind of a shock. It was kind of a shock element. And then as the story, Return to Wonderland has 2 parts of the story. It has a part that takes place in the real world, and then it has a part that takes place in Wonderland. Kaylee's in Wonderland, and while Kaylee's in Wonderland, Wonderland is slowly leaking into the real world, and it's infecting her brother, and it's kind of driving him insane, and you see its influence start to take hold. And Johnny happens to have the most tragic background of, I think, almost any character I've created. I don't know anyone that I've read, but he's like, when you get the full brunt of everything that's happened to him, you can't help but feel sorry for him. And the juxtaposition of Kaylee trying to save her brother by pushing him into Wonderland and turning him into this monster to save him in a way because of the horrible thing he does at the end of Return, it's just the dynamic, the dysfunctional yet loving dynamic between Kaylee and Johnny is one of my favorite things about the whole story. At any time they're together, whether they're fighting, whether they're sitting on swings. I mean, if you guys have read the entire last 15 years of Wonderland, you'll notice that I try to put in a scene at least once every 5 years with Kaylee and Johnny on a swing. The very first time you see it is when, in return after, spoiler alert, Alice kills herself and they're at the funeral. And he's sitting on the swing with Alice, with Kaylee in the real world. And that's the first time he acknowledges to Kaylee that he sees the dead white rabbit. And you see Wonderland is starting to take hold of him. And then later on in the series, in the ongoing series, you see them sitting on the swings together as adults before they have their final battle. And then I have no idea what happened to them after that.
But well, I guess I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this, but rumor has it you're working on a new Wonderland series. Can we see Johnny appear in there, or is there anything you'd like to tease about it?
Well, Johnny's coming back. It's anyone who's read the end of Revenge. That's the big thing at the end of the whole series. Is you see the hat and you see the hand come out the ground. We have a plan for him. I don't know when it's going to happen, but when he comes back, he is going to be the same character, yet fundamentally very different, very unique, and the way he comes back is going to really add a new dimension to the character. Like, people are going to flip for the new version of Johnny.
Hell yeah. Amber, that is so hype.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this has been a great interview with a lot of really, really great insight. And and I'm sure that a lot of the viewers are very, very excited. A lot of Zenescope exclusives. So, like, as we wrap this up, because we don't want to take up too much time, I have a personal question, because obviously I've been stalking your Facebook, as I mentioned, because I saw that your Facebook status said that you wanted to be referred to as beautiful. I also saw that your Facebook said that you wanted to be referred to as sexy, as something I can't say on this podcast. So before we jump off, I have to admit that I saw that you're a fan of the Trilogy of Terror, and I'm a huge fan. I actually have a Zuni fetish doll, which I will send you a picture.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Way. I have the same one you posted about. It's like one of my favorite things I have. But if you could write an ad to any horror series or any of your favorite horror films, like, what would it be?
Oh, it'd be that one. It would be Trilogy of Terror, because they did a part 2, and then I don't know. I'm assuming you're a pretty big fan, but did you ever?
I am.
Did you ever see it in Nightmares and Dreamscape?
Yes.
Yes, I saw that and I was like, yay! Holy shit! So, fun story. Another fun story before we close out. And I have to tell you this. This is another fun fact about Raven Gregory. So, Amber, when I was growing up as a wee lad in the far, far foreign land of Arizona, they had Blockbusters here. I don't know if people remember those. Those were video stores people used to go to rent movies. So I saw Trilogy of Terror when I was about 4 years old. And that doll was the scariest fucking thing I'd ever seen or heard in my life. So every time I would go to the video store, I would avoid the horror section. And I became a horror writer. Funny. I would literally like put my hand on the side of my face when I was walking past the display case, so I didn't see it, because that thing has terrified me my entire fucking life. I still have fucking nightmares about the thing, even though I'm not really scared of anything anymore. So, last story, kids. Everyone pull up a chair, listen to my voice coming through the computer to your screen or phone, whatever. So, back when I was writing Return to Wonderland, if any of you guys are aware of Johnny's horrible backstory, he is molested by an uncle at a young age, which is why he kind of goes crazy the way he does. So there's a scene where Johnny is it's a dream sequence scene where Johnny's sitting at a table and, you know, like everybody's dead and Lewis has his throat cut and there's a napkin like in his shirt. And I wrote the script, and in the script, there was supposed to be a severed penis on that table. And Ralph was like, no. And I was like, Ralph, come on, man. It plays to the character. He had this horrible thing happen to him when he's young. Of course he would lash out. This is how he would lash out. And he's like, Raven, quit it. And I'm like, no, come on, man. This is like character 101. This is real. No one's even going to notice. They're going to think it's a finger or something cut off on the table. He's like, Raven, no penis on the table. It's one of the only times Ralph has given me, one of many times that Ralph has given me a note that I've been thankful for later. I'm glad there was no penis on the table. But just so you guys know, whenever you read Return to Wonderland, that dream sequence with Johnny and Cali and the family at the kitchen table, there was supposed to be a penis in the middle.
Wow. Well, I mean, Raven, if you subscribe to the many worlds theory, there's a parallel dimension where it happened.
There you go. And then also in that parallel dimension, I'm actually the Italian in the Taco Bell commercial instead of Ralph. Hey, it's a spicy taco.
Damn.
Amber, do you know
Ralph,
about?
I'm sorry.
Do you know about Ralph's Hollywood escapades?
We know, like, yeah, his Taco Bell commercial comes out a lot at the office.
Instead of doing the Hollywood the film thing that you guys do, we should just do one with the Taco Bell commercial, where we all just get to make fun of Ralph for like 50 hours.
Yeah, like that will never happen. You will never see it.
Oh wait, one last story. One last story. This is the last one. Again, Zenescope exclusive. These are stories that nobody has ever heard about the massive Wonderland story that Zenescope brought to you over the last 15 years. So, at the end of Return to Wonderland, we decide to do a cover gallery of all the amazing cover artists that have contributed to the success of Wonderland. Ebass, Talon Codwell, Ali Garza, Nate Rufino, Dan Leister, J. Scott Campbell. The list goes on and on. We do a cover gallery of all these covers. Now on the cover, the regular cover, it's Cali, and she's laying on a bed, and she's reading comics. And the comics and the posters on the wall and everything, they're all different covers from Wonderland. So me, Daniel Leister, the artist, and Nia Rufino, we all decided to play a trick on Ralph. So we went to, it was some convention, and we printed a cover. And on the cover, it has the heavyset queen instead of Cali laying on the bed. The exact same cover. She's laying on the bed and she's reading a magazine. And all over the walls and the magazine itself are pictures of Ralph like posed for Playgirl.
Oh,
with,
no
with
way.
The big queen. And we're sitting at the show and we're like, we planned this whole thing out. And we put the cover on one of the exclusive books. And we're like, Ralph, what? How much is this book here? It doesn't have a price. And we show it, and Ralph looks at it for a second. He's like, what the fuck what is this? Oh, you mother. And I was like, oh! It was the greatest prank ever. Oh man. Gosh. Okay, you guys have gotten all the good stories. I don't think there's anything else that I got. You got everything.
I think we got spoiled today. Well, Raven, thank you so much for being a guest and doing all that you do. Very excited to check in on this new Wonderland series you're working on, and you're awesome.
Thanks, man. You guys are awesome too.
Thank you, Chris, Amber, and Raven. If you'd like to learn more about Wonderland, hop on over to Zenescope.com and scroll down on the homepage to the section called Wonderland 101. It's loaded with lots of #1 issues and graphic novels for you to get more acquainted with Alice, Cali, the Mad Hatter, and all of their twisted tales. Now, let's move on to some of the exciting events coming up on the Zenescope calendar for April 2021. April continues with the spring line of all new metal cards, metal comics, and a sticker set. In the spirit of Wonderland, we've got a Wonderland Metal Mini art print, Wonderland die cut and holographic stickers we'll be giving away later in the month, and some special discounts on Wonderland comics and graphic novels. Speaking of metals, I'm super excited about the release of a brand new set of metal cards. We're calling them XL because they're bigger than your average metal card and they're double-sided. We have 2 sets of 4 cards representing all of your favorite Zenescope characters that we'll be releasing later in the month at different times. Each is limited to just 50 sets. You're really going to want a set of these, I promise you. New release Wednesdays will include a terrifying new Grim Tales of Terror quarterly involving one of America's first serial killers, H.H. Holmes. We've also got a new Grim Spotlight on Mystère as she fights for her life and soul in Voodoo Dawn. And we've collected issues 1 through 6 for a terrific new graphic novel, Robin Hood Vigilante. Last but not least, one of the most highly anticipated releases of the year comes out this month. In fact, they are the most dynamic duo since You Know Who. It's Man Goat and the Bunny Man. Issue #1 drops on April 14th. Pre-sales have sold out, and this one will go super fast, so mark your calendars for April 14th. Elias Chadzudis is our April featured artist of the month. We've got 7 brand new Elias art prints available on Zenescope.com right now, as well as discounts on select prints. He has a new sticker set available individually or part of a sticker set subscription, and some really cool metal cards in the next few days to add to your collection. And lastly, don't miss our spring break themed live stream event on Thursday, April 22nd from 6 to 9 p.m. and Friday, April 23rd from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jason, Chris, Amber, and Ralph will bring plenty of sunscreen as they jump headfirst into a pool party filled with new books, trivia, prizes, special guests, and games to share with you via the virtual airwaves on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. That's Thursday and Friday, April 22nd to 23rd. And the best part of all, you won't get sand in your shoes. Shifting gears now, let's check back in with Chris to see what he recommends you read this month for Wonderland.
Welcome back to another installment of Chris's Corner. Today, you and I will be stepping through the looking glass as we talk about the fantastic graphic novel, Revenge of Wonderland. Raven Gregory returns to pen a fantastic new chapter in the Wonderland saga in this 2019 miniseries. We see familiar characters, Cali and Violet, but they're stuck in a spiritual wasteland. Despite making a truce with the powers of Wonderland and having earned a quote-unquote peace, Cali is having a lot of trouble adjusting, and she's pawning off her experiences with Wonderland as a work of fiction, and she's heavily going to the bottle, drinking herself silly. She's a mess. And then you have Violet, who has become estranged and distant from her mother. She has also become increasingly paranoid that the forces of Wonderland are not yet done with them, and she couldn't be further from the truth. An insidious villain by the name of the Duchess sends out her minions to do her bidding to collect and kidnap innocent kids and civilians. It's all part of an insidious plot to wreak vengeance and havoc on the little family. Raven Gregory is in peak writing form as he creates a haunting follow-up story dealing with heavy dark themes of emotional trauma, recovery, self-actualization, and the meaning of family. He honors the legacy of Wonderland with great callbacks and Easter eggs, including the surprise return of a fan-favorite character. The interiors by Alan Otero and colors by Grotiesta and Max Van Orejo synergize to create this haunting, psychedelic, and terrifying visage, especially in the Wonderland dream-like sequences. There are some really cool pieces of art, like people's faces being wiped away on a page shot by shot, or the emergence of a giant kaiju-like creature being formed from pieces of a supermarket. Super trippy, super awesome. A perfect fit for the madness and surrealism that you come to expect from Wonderland. I thoroughly enjoyed Revenge of Wonderland, and this is a must-read for any fan. So grab your copy today at Zenescope.com or at your local comic book shop.
Thanks, Chris. For those listening to our podcast Word of the Month, the word for April is Cheshire, as in Cheshire Cat. Our featured guest this month comes all the way to us from the UK. She's a national and world champion martial artist. She attended Paul McCartney's prestigious Institute for Performing Arts. She's an accomplished singer, dancer, and pianist, and she can be seen in Universal Studios' Scorpion King 3, opposite Ron Perlman and Billy Zane, Millennium Films' Prince and Me franchise, and this year as an assassin in Hulu's Boss Level, an action-adventure film about a special forces officer trapped in a never-ending time loop on the day of his death. It also stars Frank Grillo, Mel Gibson, and Naomi Watts. Ralph and I recently sat down with Selina to discuss martial arts and broadsword training, her early music recordings, working with Frank Grillo in stunt choreography, and what it would be like reliving the same day over and over and over again. Here's what she had to say. Well, welcome, Selina, to Everything Zen, and welcome to the Zenescope family here for our April podcast.
Lovely. Thank you for having me.
I'd love to jump right in and ask you to just kind of give us a little bit of background about your parents, your childhood, where you were born and raised.
So I was born and raised in London, and my parents are from Mauritius. So I actually speak Creole, which is the most not helpful language to be able to speak ever, but it's pretty fun.
Absolutely.
And so I started doing martial arts when I was 4. My parents were big action movie fans, and I grew up on all the old school like Jackie Chan movies, all of that. I was not allowed to watch anything romantic, but like a lot of violence was totally fine.
That's an American thing too, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they were great with violence, but we don't want to deal with anything on a sexuality.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that was just an Asian thing.
No, it's like American too, yeah.
Enter the Dragon is like a 4-year-old, totally fine.
Yeah.
People holding hands, no. Cover your eyes.
Yeah, close your eyes. Yeah, I get it. How did you get into competing martial arts? Why? Like, how and why, I guess?
So my parents took me to martial arts when I was 4, and I actually did not like it at all. As a child, you find it terrifying, and it just, it was tough. But I feel like it's one of the best things that a parent can do is putting them into some kind of sport, and especially something as well that is like self-defense. And then after a period of time, I just got good at it, realized I actually really love this. And then I just got into competing.
Right.
And I'd also done, I played the piano and the violin and did dance and acting. And I think my parents just wanted me to have all these opportunities and do things that they didn't have the chance to do. So I think I've always loved performing. I just never realized, I want to be an actor, or I want to be this. It was just things that I loved to do.
So you were drawn to one of the, was it mostly like when you were doing all these different things growing up, was it like always pulling at you to go, oh, this is the route I want to go?
No, not at all. Well, I just knew that I loved martial arts and I loved action movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I also love to dance. I love music. I love singing. And I think there's something in performing that from a very young age resonated with me. And it was just this way of just feeling free. And it was a feeling that I just didn't get anywhere else. It was just something that I loved, but I didn't think, because it just wasn't something that was even considered that I would go into this as a profession.
Yeah, makes sense.
What was your favorite part of martial arts? Because I had also read that you did extensive weapons training, and I thought double broadswords. I mean, they can weigh 7 to 12 pounds.
I just liked the way that they look, and I just thought they were really cool. I just thought they were cool. So initially, as a girl, you do straight sword, but I was like, I really want to do the broadsword. It just, for me, I was like, oh, this is really badass. I want to do this.
That's funny. I remember watching Conan the Destroyer when I was a kid. I don't know if you remember that movie. And he had that big broadsword, and I used to go around my house destroying stuff with my fake broadsword. So
I bet
can
your
imagine.
parents loved that.
Yeah, they loved
Wait,
it.
did you have one, or did you just imagine that you were doing it?
I had a fake one I made.
That you made?
Yeah, it was
That's
aluminum
impressive.
foil. It was very cool. If you ever want to borrow it, that's fine. You can for a movie, whatever. It's really cool looking. You do your own stunts, which is what, obviously Jackie Chan. We always heard over the years Jackie Chan did all his own stunts for all his movies. Obviously, Tom Cruise now is known for that. Is that something you love doing, and is that something you feel like you're going to continue doing as your career evolves, or is that something you're like, okay, eventually I don't know if I want to keep doing all my own stunts?
I mean, maybe when I'm really old,
Right.
some common sense might kick in, and I might think, hey, this probably isn't the best idea.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy doing it. And it's just something that I love. So why not?
Yeah. Why not? I mean, hey, that's it's a great skill set to have. And
It's fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And kind of jumping off that, like, so here's my kind of curiosity. So when you're doing a fight scene or even that sword fight with Frank Grillo in your movie, like, are you part of choreographing that, or are you just kind of, because you're
so various projects work in different ways. On Boss Level, they'll show you like the previs, so they'll show you what the fight's supposed to look like, and then you learn it. And then as you rehearse, sometimes things come up, so you adapt, you change, or I might say like, kind of like this move, like, can we do this, or can we try this, so it's a team effort. But for Boss Level, a lot of it was choreographed, and we had a great stunt team, and
right.
I think it's
so it's sort of a give and take. You're working with somebody who might also be an expert or a martial artist.
Oh yeah, there are tons of experts.
Yeah,
so they have an idea and they show that to you, and then you start rehearsing it. And then obviously as well, like, they'll adapt to, like, whoever they're working with, they'll adapt to the performers. So for example, I might say like, I can do this move, or this move instead. Can I maybe try this? Like, I can do this, and I feel like this would look good. And it's like just a team effort.
That's really cool.
You sort of talked a little bit about, song, dance, as well as martial arts, but song I want to get to, because you did What You Want, which is
don't even. That was just a funny, silly, like,
sultry Britney Spears type of song. I actually loved it, and I was curious if there were plans to do more songs at that time, or if you kind of got to a point where you realized, you know what, this music thing isn't really my
It was
my
literally
bag.
just a fun thing that I did with a couple of friends. I think we did it in like a day, and it was just a fun thing. I mean, I would love to do more music at some point. I love music. I think that music has the power to heal and the power to just has a lot of impact. But right now I'm focused on the acting.
Yeah, let's talk about Boss Level for a second, because we started talking about it before we started recording. But can you tell us a little bit about your character? Like what
Guan Yin?
Yeah.
So
He's the best.
Guan Yin, who I love. She's batshit crazy. Sorry, can I say that?
You can say whatever you want.
She's insane. She loves what she does. So what I do when I get a script, I love to make a full backstory. So my thing for her was that she really wanted to be an actress, but it turns out she was just a terrible actor. So then she found out she was really good at assassinating people. And for her, that's her moment in the spotlight. So every time she does one of these kills, or she then has to find the camera. So if you notice in the movie, she finds the camera, and for no reason, this is all Joe decided this, like first time we did that, he was like, bring in a fan. So for no reason, there's just like a fan going through my hair, and then she just announces her name.
Yeah.
She's insane. So much fun.
He's bad. It was such a great, your tagline. It just all was like, what a good movie. What was Frank Grillo like working with him, and in particular, like that sword fight you guys did? I mean, what was it like working with him, and then how long did it take to block that sword fight? Like, like for him on his side, I'm assuming he's not a martial arts expert or weapons expert necessarily, So I'm just curious.
So Frank is really cool. And can I just say, how ridiculously in shape is he? Like,
Yeah, I know.
I
He's
feel
in his 50s
terrible. Now. I'm always eating something. I see him and I'm like, I need to put this down. So we rehearsed beforehand. And so I would work with the trainers, he would work with the trainers, and then we came together. So it's just a lot of preparation. And I think I'm really pleased. I actually really love, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. I know I'm biased, but I do love that end fight scene.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Ralph and I were kind of talking about films that are similar to Boss Level, like Groundhog Day, Palm Springs, Edge of Tomorrow. And we were wondering, if you had to relive the same day, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but if you had
as Selina Lo, or as Guan Yin?
Oh, both.
Okay.
No, we know what your character would do. She would probably just kill everybody over.
But as Selina Lo,
oh no, Guan Yin would go back and that sounds terrible. I was like, anyone, like maybe one specific terrible ex.
Yeah, she would probably go and kill him over and over. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good one.
As Selina Lo, if I had to relive a day.
Yeah, what day would you choose and why?
Wow, that's tough. That's a tough question, Mark.
That's such a tough question.
It's a good question.
Wait. So I'm stuck in that day for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you have to stick in a day. Remember, it should be nice outside. You don't want to be rainy.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you guys this afterwards, so.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I think it'd have to be a sunny day, no matter what, because you don't want to live in a rainy.
It would be a sunny day, and I think it would probably be like a day on holiday with like my whole family, like my sister and my parents were all together, and we're all just spending that quality time together. I think.
Yeah.
The older you get, the more I appreciate family.
Absolutely.
And
of course,
the time that you all have together, because obviously everyone goes off and does their own thing. And get older and
you don't want to, but the flip side is, do you want to get sick of seeing those people every day? I'm just kidding. That's terrible. I'm just joking.
Your parents aren't watching this.
My mom's not listening. I'm just kidding. I would spend every day. My dream day would be just me and my mom at the.
What about your dad or your siblings?
Oh, well, yeah. Actually, probably when I was younger, because my dad passed when I was young. So there you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am.
That's okay, because now you think about it, that might be something you think about. Like you can relive those days back before that happened. So my question, does your martial arts background influence what roles you seek out? And if like, are you content with like sticking with action right now, or are you interested eventually into branching out into other genres?
So I actually really love comedy.
Yeah.
I would love to do a straight comedy or a straight drama. I went to drama school, but I also do really love the action. So I just want to be part of great storytelling.
Yeah.
And if action is involved in that, I'm very happy because they're all loves of mine. But yes, there is a lot more that I want to do than just action. But like while I'm young and I can physically do it,
right.
I feel like, you know what, make the most of this.
Yeah. Plus having that skill set is not something most actors have either. Like where you can do all your own stunts and
so it's interesting because I found that initially when I started getting into acting, saying that I could do the martial arts, my background, was actually a negative because, so I don't even, like, I think partly martial arts, Asian, female, whatever, they just assumed I was just a stunt woman. So it didn't matter that I'd been doing acting like since a child, also like the martial arts. They kind of boxed me into this, oh, she's just a stunt girl. And then one day this director advised me, don't tell casting or whatever you're going off with, don't give them your background. Right. And that was actually when things started to make a difference. So it's interesting how it works, because you'd think that if you're doing a movie and you want an actor that, and it's an heavily action based, that it would be a good quality to have in an actor. But it's just interesting how people think and say sometimes. I think it's gotten better, but I think that in some cases it's not necessarily helped. I think at this point it's helpful because now it's kind of like, oh, okay, she does action movies, she can do this. But definitely starting out, it didn't serve me to say that I had those skills.
Yeah.
Well, and that's probably a good segue for my next question, which, having been in the industry for at least 10 years now, have you seen like a dramatic change in opportunities for Asian actors and writers and directors?
I think that it's definitely gotten better. I think there's still a lot of room for change.
Yeah.
But it has gotten better. I would like to see more. I mean, especially right now with all the Asian hate, like that's particularly heartbreaking.
Right.
But I can't say that it's not gotten better. But I would love to see more.
Yeah, we would love to. Yeah, it'd be nice if we evolved faster.
Yeah.
As
sometimes you
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, please.
No, I just think it's interesting because it does sometimes it feels like we take 2 steps back forward or a step forward and 2 steps back, and in any sort of like evolution of us as a country, and that's what sometimes it's disappointing and disheartening, I think.
I completely agree with you, and you do notice all this positive change, and then you suddenly see in the news all these attacks on these the Asian people that look like my parents, my grandparents. They're just people, like we're all just human beings. And you're like, how are people? And it all comes down to, they're like getting blamed for COVID and
that's what it comes down to. It's insanity. It comes down to a lot of insanity and a lot of hate and insanity. But not to get too heavy.
I'm sorry.
But to segue. What's that?
I think it's important though, to touch on that.
Oh yeah, of course.
If you'd like to see Selina in action, be sure to check out Boss Level. It's available for streaming right now on Hulu. And you can see some of Selina's sword fighting skills on display as her character battles Frank Grillo's Roy Pulver. It's well worth the watch, and the film is very entertaining, especially if you like those Groundhog Day types of films. Before we wrap, I want to toss it over to Amber for some April fun facts.
Hiya friends, Fun Facts Guru Amber here. I'm transitioning my Fun Facts live stream segments to Everything Zen. Every month, I will be highlighting a different badass female and sharing some fun facts about her. With Godzilla vs. Kong's recent release, I had to highlight the only monster to technically defeat Godzilla twice, once as a larva and once in her mature stage, my girl, Mothra. Mothra is celebrating her 60th anniversary of her first theatrical appearance this year, but her origins actually came from the serial novel, The Luminous Fairies and Mothra. Her debut film, Mothra, was the biggest budget for a film for Japan up until that point, boasting 200 million yen, which would be about 1.1 billion yen in today's currency. The puppet creation weighed over 250 pounds and had 6 people making continual motions as her body, with 2 others working her wingspan. Her second theatrical appearance was in Godzilla vs. Mothra. For the American release, the title was changed to Godzilla vs. The Thing, and the name Mothra was only mentioned when her iconic twin caretakers sang her song. Otherwise, she was referred to as the title, The Thing. Since these films, she has almost had 20 on-screen appearances and has the second most appearances by a Toho Kaiju creation, only to the king, Godzilla. And although she sacrificed herself in Godzilla King of the Monsters, director Michael Dougherty confirmed the egg in the post-credit scene was another Mothra egg, hinting to her return to the films. Long live the Queen.
As the king tells the White Rabbit in Wonderland, begin at the beginning and go on till you come to the end, then stop. And that's where this edition of Everything Zen comes to an end. Thank you to Ralph, Chris, Amber, and Raven, and of course, our featured guest, Selina Lo. I'm your host, Mark Sells. Thank you for listening. We'll see you all again next month, right here on Everything Zen.